Well, good morning, Houston. This is Oscar Hines. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Edgy Entrepreneur. This is a debut program. I can't tell you how excited I am. We have in-house Jenn Colmenares. How are you, Jenn?
I'm well. You always say that so much prettier than I do.
Colmenares.
Hi,
¿Cómo
yeah.
está? Yo puedo hablar español también, italiano, español, está bien.
Yes, that's right. I've read your book. I know who I'm speaking to.
Well, we have to all be cunning linguists, right? We have to be able to move around the language very well, I guess. And well, it is. I have to say, I'm excited about having you on. This is the debut show of the Edgy Entrepreneur, and the background that you have in this space as a coach. I want to introduce the audience to you, and no one can do that better than yourself. So why don't we start by, let's get a little bit of background on Jenn.
Ooh, where do you want to go with that? Ah, business-wise, there's a whole lot there.
Yes.
I am from a family of entrepreneurs.
Nice.
My mom started a family business in '79 that is still rocking and rolling.
Wow.
My brother recently pivoted during this COVID with international and domestic pet shipping. So
Did
that's
you say pet shipping?
yes, sir. We
Wow.
were boarding kennel. So
Oh,
I
wow.
I grew up, didn't matter where I was, what I was doing. I had to be home by 5:30 to feed the dogs.
Nice. Wow.
So it's ingrained early that spirit of if I'm going to work hard, I'm going to work hard for myself.
Yes. Yes.
So that really, yeah, I've just had this crazy, beautiful journey. I was thinking about that on the drive here this morning,
Hmm.
that between working and being an entrepreneur and then even the path that having my children took me on and how that's led me to where I am now, just my interest not only in business and the creative aspect and the drive and having the tools that it takes to be successful and build a foundation
Hmm.
that's sustainable
Yes.
in business, but to have the want to get up in the mornings to do this,
Mhm.
to invest and work hard at it because you're building something. You're building something out of a passion. And that is, I want that for everybody. I feel like
Yes.
I want to teach the world to sing in perfect harmony. And I just I want to really, with this audience and this platform, introduce like the grit that it takes to really be an entrepreneur. What is it? What do your mornings look like? What does your lifestyle really look like? You know, everybody says as an entrepreneur, work hard, work hard. Well, I worked hard for a lot of years,
Hmm.
and that didn't get me anywhere but burnout and exhausted. So, what people don't tell you is the work isn't in the business, the work is on yourself.
Yes.
How you show up is how you present yourself and is how you're going to succeed in life.
Yes.
So, here we are,
Hmm.
and this is totally proof for the pudding that when I removed some of those limiting beliefs and stepped out of my comfort zone, even though I had had successful businesses. I've done this so many times.
Hmm.
I have not only business background, I'm a massage therapist. I did that for 13 years. I've done energy work and healing. So that is really too where I bring the holistic aspect
Hmm.
in
Hmm.
to taking care of yourself and being a badass.
Yeah. Yeah. You just hit on a lot of things. So we're going to unpack some of that over the course of this hour. One of the things that I like, a little quotation that says, everybody's in favor of progress, provided they can have it without change, right?
Yes.
So sometimes the hardest thing to do is to change ourselves. And when you were just saying that the work is on ourselves, it's not just in the business, but it's on ourselves. You know, we are now in the beginning of this new year. Everybody is inclined to say, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to change that. I'm going to start exercising, lose weight, get out of this relationship or get into a relationship or whatever. And those challenges are there largely in the constructs of how somebody is willing to change. You know, how they, like you said, show up every day. And I think, you know, when we talk about the edgy entrepreneur and this show and what this show will represent, a lot of it, and that's why I want to encourage audience members to tune in every Thursday, 10 a.m. with Jenn. You'll have a variety of amazing guests that'll come through. But you're going to really deep dive into the anatomy of an entrepreneur.
Love it. The anatomy. Yes.
Yes, yes. And we remember our biology classes when we had to do the dissection, right?
I was so good at that. I love biology.
Were you? Because really, you know, those who know me know, you know, I'm a former health and wellness practitioner, and I do love biology in the sense that I really think that all the different parts of the body, you know, have to work in concert in order for the body to work efficiently. And I think that's the way it is in life in general, and certainly in business, because there are these different moving parts. And how do we take all those different moving parts and synergize them in such a way where they are a greater, more powerful whole? And so that's really sort of the dive that we'll be taking on the Edgy Entrepreneur, right?
Yes, yes. Super excited. And you nailed it. You know, I don't think anybody tells us, I know for me, and I hope that I've gotten this point across to my girls, that this is life. It's life. Like, it doesn't get any better. Like, there's not a carrot that you're going to reach or a goal that you're going to achieve. You go with yourself everywhere you go, so you better like yourself.
Yeah, you're stuck with you.
You're stuck with you.
Yeah.
But it really is. And I think so many of us get into this fantasy of what it is going to be to work for ourselves and, you know, be able to come and go and do whatever. It's a lifestyle. It's not a job. It's a lifestyle. And I really want you to know what you're getting into and what grit it takes to succeed and sustain.
You know, they say entrepreneurs are the only people that are crazy enough to give up a job that pays well for 40 hours with just 40 hours a week and start working for less money for 80 hours a week. It's because a lot of people are a little bit, as you said, they have a romantic view of what entrepreneurship is. They'll say, oh, I'll get to spend more time with my kids. I'll get to do this. I'll get to do that. And then the reality is, oh, you're going to get to work a lot more hours for a lot less money, and it's going to be scary. Yeah.
Scary. Yeah. That's another thing that a lot of people leave out, and the fear that comes along with that, and that it's normal. It doesn't have to be debilitating. Let's get to those stories, you know, like you and I had talked about. What is the kind of the intro, and it's the Edgy Entrepreneur. What's your story?
Yeah.
What are you telling yourself that is holding you back?
Mm-hmm.
What are you telling yourself that is keeping you from listening to that nudge that's been in your heart and in your gut for all these years?
Yeah.
I'm excited to dive into all of that and bring it to a platform so that this audience can see the normalcy of it. That everybody talks to themselves in their brain. That's part of the challenge, is how do you reel that in, and how do you harness that, and how do you use it for good and not evil?
Yes. Yes. Well, I think when I heard something many moons ago that stayed with me with regard to a dream that you have in your heart and in your mind. So folks, I want you to really tune into this concept, okay? And that is, if we've heard it said, what the mind can conceive, a person can achieve. And that sounds, it sounds great, but, what are the real life applications there? This is the thing, and I heard this many moons ago, is that if you have a dream in your heart that has taken root, then that dream has the potential to not only manifest, but to grow, because it was given to you. And because it was given to you, you have an obligation to breathe life into that dream. Les Brown, motivational speaker, and
Personal friend of yours wrote the foreword to your book.
Right, yeah. Well, a lot of people are like, oh, yeah, Les Brown's a friend of mine, and they
well,
pose.
Let's just go there, deeper. Wrote the foreword to the book.
They posed with a picture of Les one time, and they posted all over social media. No, I know this man. He and I hang out, okay?
And I love listening to him on the podium.
Yes. Well, I remember he was in his sweats, and we were in his hotel room. We're just hanging out, we're eating, we're talking, and he's in his sweats, and he started reiterating one of the things that he says on stage that I thought was really potent, but to have it being said personally, he said, imagine that you are lying down in a hospital bed, and you may never get up from that bed again. And surrounding you are these angry eyes. And these angry eyes are looking at you, and they're saying, how could you? Why did you let this happen? And then he says, those angry eyes are all the dreams, all the goals, all the desires, all the intuition that you had through your entire life that you did not manifest because you were afraid. And now the angry eyes, these dreams, goals, and aspirations are looking at you, and they're saying, how could you? Now we're going to die with you instead of manifesting. How could you let this happen? And when we think about it in those terms, that's when we're prompted to take action. I'm feeling you right now.
Oh my gosh, yes. I'm like, okay, don't cry. Yeah, I like the eyelashes. So, yes, man, that is so true. And I'm a prime example. I'm like, the way that I grew up wasn't traditional. Yeah. I discussed on another interview that we did. I moved out when I was 16.
So I want to get the audience to know you a little bit better, and that's an interesting story. So we want to go back in and dive a little deeper in that. But before we do, let's take this break. We are here on a new program, The Edgy Entrepreneur. This is Jenn Colmenares, introduced to the Edge Radio audience. I'm so excited to have her here, and this has been a great conversation so far. Let's take a quick break. We'll be back in just a moment here on Edge Radio TV. Back in a moment. We work our whole lives to support our families. With one accident or illness, it can all be gone in an instant. Now there's a smart, affordable way to protect your family. Go to findhealthbenefits.com and discover low-cost life insurance for as little as $2 per month. Add to that a tax-deferred annuity that can help you protect your assets and grow your money for retirement. Learn more. Go to findhealthbenefits.com or call 877-235-6094. A critical illness can strike without warning and wipe out your life savings. In fact, it's the #1 reason for bankruptcy. Find Health Benefits offers an affordable solution. Get up to $50,000 if you get cancer, stroke, or a heart attack, giving you the peace of mind to focus on getting better while the plan helps you to pay your bills and medical expenses. Learn more. Go to findhealthbenefits.com or call 877-235-6094. 66% of seniors spend more time shopping for cable TV than Medicare plans. Most say because it's just too confusing. Laws change every year. The wrong plan could cost you thousands and prevent you from seeing the doctors you want. Introducing findhealthbenefits.com. Save time, save money, see specialists without referrals. Go to findhealthbenefits.com or call 877-235-6094 for this informative brochure.
Society is on the edge. Let's bring them back. Edge Radio, because truth still matters.
And we are back. This is the Edge Radio Network. My name is Oscar Hines, joined by Jenn Colmenares, and we are here with the new program, The Edgy Entrepreneur. And just before our break, Jenn, we were talking about how you took a leap very early in life and decided, I can do this on my own, right?
I've been doing it ever since, too. Working on that.
Yeah. So you left home at 16?
Yes. 16, 17. I'm at the numbers get fuzzy.
Yeah.
It's that long ago. 16, 17. I remember packing all of my clothes into the trunk of my Volkswagen Bug, bungeeing it down. I had my three-piece radio in the back with the dual cassettes, and that was in the back seat, and whatever else I could fit in that Volkswagen.
Yeah.
And I was headed to Atlanta, Georgia.
Wow.
So 17 on that one headed, but I'd moved out of my parents' home at 16 to go and work with this community, this service that was kind of grassroots level of getting in and helping kids with really the umbrella, and the in was drug abuse and drug problems. They'd gotten in trouble, they'd been in rehab, things like that. But once you get into it, it's not about the drugs, it's about just fitting in. And we were all misfits, and we just found a place to be. And through that, I found it. Like, I had felt like a misfit my entire life. And I found it. I fit in. I found my people, and that's all I wanted to do from then on. Is I didn't want those people to have to suffer. I I don't want anyone to have to go through what I went through. And it's not even like what I went through out there in this world. It's what I went through in my head. It's the world and the reality that I created.
Right.
And I think I was in my 40s before I realized that other people had this voice in their head. I mean, how crazy is that?
Yeah.
So I did. I left. I took a leap of faith to follow a heart, to follow a passion to help people. It didn't exactly work out that way. So I went to go get counseling hours to work towards my KDAC so that I could be in a hospital and work at a facility. I could work within groups because I think there's power in bringing people together and hearing other people's stories.
Yeah.
So here we are.
Yeah. So when somebody, and I told my kids this kind of early on in hopes that I could sort of divert them from substance abuse in general. And one of the things is that sometimes when people resort to drugs, they're trying to escape their own head. And they're sometimes trying to silence voices or silence demons or just divert themselves from just the wholeness of their sober self. Now, this is my interpretation of this. I don't know if you have a different take coming from a world of helping people and dealing with individuals that had substance abuse issues. But I know from the perspective of a lot of people that go down that road, usually it's because they're somewhat of a tortured soul that has to find some solace, and that solace comes through escaping their head. But I don't know if that's your take or not.
Honestly, I think it goes back to our opening statement. You know, the edgy entrepreneur, what's your story? What story are you telling yourself? If you're telling yourself that you need to escape, that all of this is bad, then that's the path you're going to take. That's the story that you're going to write. And you're going to keep writing the next chapter of that and the next chapter of that, because you're going to keep proving yourself right.
Yeah.
To get out of that is where the magic happens, and to empower people with those tools and that knowledge, and that it's work. Yeah. It's not, you're not going to wake up one day and find yourself in this magic, fairyland that everything is easy and everything, I found my passion. This is beautiful. It's the other side of the rainbow.
Right.
It's not like that. There's a work that's involved, and it takes us back. The work is on yourself. That's and right. Being a teenager is hard in general. And this is being a teenager back before all the social media and before it was what it is now. But it's still at the core believing in yourself and having the courage to stand up for who you are and knowing yourself inside enough to deflect all of that, to be able to stand up and know, this is what I stand for. These are my morals. These are my values. This is my vision. This is how I'm going to get there, and lay it out and map it out so that it's not just a dream.
Yeah.
I want you to dream big.
Yeah. That's right. Well, Think and Grow Rich called that definiteness of purpose, and this idea of having a definiteness. But the voices that you were talking about, I think all of us, to some degree, we struggle with that. I did a video sometime back, and periodically between breaks, we play that video. And one of the aspects of it is that we talk about the theta state, the theta brain waves is the state that we get into when we're hypnotized. So it's sort of that intermediate point between wake and sleep, but we're suggestible. So from the ages of 0 to 6, 5 or 6, we're in the theta state. A child is in the theta state. So if they hear, you're not worthy, why are you doing dumb things? Be quiet. No, no, no. They hear no so many more times than they hear yes. And the sad reality is that we look, and for those of you listening right now, your parent that you might be angry at because you had a lousy childhood, that parent was probably a 20-something-year-old kid when they had you that didn't know what the hell they were doing. It's so ironic because you know why grandparents are so great? 'Cause we figured some stuff out by now, right? You know, we don't have to be angry when they spill that milk or say something crazy.
Because you realize where the important things are.
That's right, exactly. But the 0 to 5 or 6, when essentially we are being programmed, that programming can resonate this, I'm not worthy, I'm not worthy, I'm not smart enough, I'm not good enough, I'm not whole enough, whatever, you know, we interpret. I had a friend of mine, and I won't identify her too much, but she'll know who she is.
Hi, friend.
Hi, friend. She had a very interesting, she's from another country, and she had a very interesting experience when she was about 3 years old. In her language, in her country, they used to have a phrase that they used all the time. And the phrase, loosely translated, is kind of like, oh, you suck and you should be in the ground or something like that, right? Like you're better off in the ground or dead or something like that. Not dead per se, but just in the ground.
Right.
And so she started hearing everyone laughing and saying this because they said it sort of flippantly all the time. And so one time she said it to her sister, who was about 2-3 years older than her. And her sister said, that means you wish that I was dead. That means you want me to be dead. And she goes, no, that's not what I meant, because she didn't know what it meant anyway.
Right.
And the sister traumatized her with this idea that you want me to be dead. You're a terrible person. This affected her so profoundly that here at 3 or 4 years old, she stopped speaking. For years, she didn't utter a word. She just stayed by her mother's side because she had been sort of traumatized by this idea that, oh no, my sister's going to die because of my words. So here you have a simple example of a sister who was probably just being a brat when she said what she said, but it affected the life of somebody else to the degree that they couldn't even communicate for years, and then they had to overcome that. So what a child experiences in those early formative years can really sort of set the precedent for everything they believe about themselves for the rest of their lives.
So true. And having that knowledge, and I think that leads right into where the work really is and really takes place, is being strong enough and secure enough with yourself and having a strong enough foundation with people to be able to go in and look at that and peel back those layers.
Correct.
Like, where is this story coming from?
Mm-hmm.
And you may think, oh, you know, I'm not successful because of this, or it's my education, or for years I'll say my story was I don't have a college degree. I dropped out of high school. You know, I have a GED. For years I was ashamed of that. And it was something that somebody could use against me in a second. And I was laid out. Like, it was so devastating because I had worked so hard to hide that and to put all these layers on to let others know that I was fine. I have this great package. And be like, I can look real good, real pretty on the outside, but I mean, what's going on in my brain?
Right.
And you just never know. You never know somebody's story. Unless you are going to take the time and be brave and accept the challenge of finding out what your story is.
Yes. Well, you know, when you mention that, not graduating from high school or even college, most people don't realize that the average successful entrepreneur is a college dropout. I'm serious. Like, we've heard of Mark Zuckerberg, we've heard of Bill Gates. You know, the most successful people have often not even gone through the collegiate experience. That doesn't mean that the collegiate experience is bad per se, but what it does, and the way I feel about it, is it doesn't really teach you entrepreneurship. What it teaches you is the discipline that you need for entrepreneurship. unless you go into a profession like doctor, lawyer, engineer, that's very specific to a certain amount of information that you have to have for that profession, most of it you learn after school.
Yeah.
And so this idea of us having that narrative in our head that, oh, we're not worthy because we didn't graduate from something, we need to let that go.
Yes.
Because in my opinion, I can kick the snot out of people with PhDs, and I don't have a PhD.
Right.
I don't have a master's either.
Right.
But I certainly feel confident in the information that I've acquired over the years, and especially since we're in the information age.
Yes.
And everything is at our fingertips.
Yes.
We now have the ability to have as much, if not more, information than those that went through formal education. So with that in mind and with that knowledge, I think people need to sort of reaffirm the confidence in their own head, especially if they're going to be an entrepreneur.
Oh.
They have to reaffirm that not only am I capable, but I am worthy of this success.
Yes.
And when that clicks, man, the rest is magic. So,
Yes.
so folks, if you have a dream, you want to actualize that dream, and now this year is the time to start. If you haven't started before, now is the time to
The
start.
playing field has been leveled.
Exactly. So you're listening to the Edge Radio Network. This is the Edgy Entrepreneur with Jenn Colmenares, and we are going to take a break. We'll be back in just a moment with more information on how you change your life. Back in a moment. Are you a small business owner concerned about the downturn in the economy? Top business leaders like Mattress Mac and Warren Buffett will tell you that now is the time to promote your business more than ever. People need your services. Your business needs an edge. Learn about special advertising packages for small businesses right here on Edge Radio. Find out more, give us a call at 281-744-0446. That's 281-744-0446. Edge, because truth still matters. The Natural Nation Network is really about taking control of your health physically, spiritually, emotionally, even intellectually, because there's so much out there in misinformation. There's a lot of people now that are suffering from all sorts of diseases that they really wouldn't have to suffer for if they had better information. And that's what we're here to do. Provide information that can save lives.
The mind and the body are totally connected.
Health can be really serious, and you know, sometimes we just have to lighten it up a little bit while we're still providing substantive information. And you know, my sort of mantra on the salsa dance floor is kind of similar. You know, I tell somebody, if you make a mistake twice, it becomes a move. Okay.
Tune into Natural Nation every Tuesday at 11 a.m.
And we are back. This is the Edge Radio Network. This is the Edgy Entrepreneur. Jenn and I have been having an amazing conversation so far. And we were talking just before the break, Jenn, about the dialogue in our head. But we know that it's more than just quelling those voices of negativity, because we can tell those voices to be quiet for a moment. But what gets an entrepreneur to get out of bed at 6 a.m. or 5 a.m. and do what they have to do? That's the grind. Mm-hmm. And when we really think about moving the needle, we have to sort of get our mindset into that grind. For those that are listening, for those that have said, this year is my year, but they're stuck in bed till, they keep hitting the snooze button.
Yes, yes.
I've
seen screenshots like of friends, and it's like 4:30, 4:35, 4:40, 4:40. Yes. I'm like, no, you don't have to live like that.
That's right. Get your ass out of bed.
Get your ass out of bed. Yes.
So how do you do it though? You
get your ass out of bed.
There you go.
I'm like, that is the Goya method. Just so you know, that is the Goya method, the get your ass out of bed method. And it's true. I'm like, there's no magic in. There's magic in the want when you find your passion and when you're serving a purpose. So it all works together. But the alarm goes off at 6 o'clock and you're like, okay, Alexa, hush and roll over.
Right.
No, it's those small little wins that are creating change. Change is not easy. Like you were talking about our brains, and that we live in a 6-year-old brain. Mm-hmm. And what are those stories? I mean, that 6-year-old brain wants to stay under the covers and warm and comfy, and is waiting for mom to come, pull the covers back and hear your warm PJs and all that. So it's hard. Mm-hmm. And that really goes back to when you hear successful people say it takes hard work and you've got to put in the work. That's the work.
That's the work.
It's not learn accounting and balance your books. I mean, that's the work too. But those big disciplines start with these little disciplines. With this, I said I was going to start my day at 6 o'clock. I love Tom Bilyeu is one of his impact theory. I love watching, and he has his morning routine is he has 11 minutes or 10 minutes to get out of bed. Because for so long, that was his nemesis. He laid in bed for hours, feeling unworthy, not knowing what to do. His wife his girlfriend at the time would go to work and come home, and he would stay and play video games. His job was get up and make her a sandwich. So, I mean, he has a discipline that 10 minutes is his time between the alarm and before his feet are on the floor. Mine is when my eyeballs open, then my feet are on the floor. I'm out of bed. It doesn't matter if it's 3:30 in the morning. My goal is, I'm not going to say that I fall all the time, but my goal is when my eyes are open, there's a reason that I'm up. And when I follow that reason, and when I get into it, and when I listen to that inner voice, that intuition that woke me, it always turns out to be beautiful. And I guess that's another aspect, is waking up in gratitude. Right. I'm like, I'm waking up for a reason. Right. So you're waking up for a reason. You're not waking up to, to go and be a cog in the wheel. You're waking up to be a part of humanity.
That's right. That's right. Well, you mentioned this, and it's something that a lot of people have to sort of deep dive to discover, and that is their why. If they understand their why, then it's easier to get out of bed. I heard 2 pieces of advice, and many of you watching that have watched motivational videos, you probably know the people that I'm talking about. But there's a general that the same general that caught Osama bin Laden. He is a admiral in the Marine Corps, McRaven. So Admiral McRaven had this video, and it said, the first thing that you need to do in the morning when you get up is make your bed. And it was like, what? He said, why? He says, because when you get out of bed and you make your bed, it's the first thing that you've accomplished for the day. And when you accomplish that first thing, it's like a springboard that takes you to the next thing and the next thing. And so you move through your day better when you get up and make your bed. And I was like, and I thought about that. My brother is a former Marine, and he's extremely disciplined, and has had a very successful life and traveled the world and so on. And he talks about the discipline of, they used to teach you how to shine your shoes, how to square off the sheets and the pillowcase, and what you do. I mean, it was like, I'm like, man, that is really borderline like OCD. He's like, no, but once you get that discipline, it forces you into other disciplines. And so I heard that, and I really like it. I do make my bed every morning. And then it's nice when you come back home and you go, look at my nice made up bed. Yes. The other thing, and this one is about those of you who are trying to get out of bed and having a challenge doing it, was
message me. I have a whole Trello board on how to get your ass out of bed.
Oh, good. Well, the Goya method is get off your anatomy. So this other one is good too, and I can't remember her name. Female blonde lady. She has a countdown. So as soon as her eyes open in the morning, she's like, okay, I got to get up, or the alarm gets off, and she counts backwards: 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then forces herself to get up out of bed. And she says she does that with anything she's afraid of. She does that backwards count.
Love it.
It's a really great technique. But I just, before I let that point go, I want to touch on the science for a minute, guys, on this idea of getting out of bed. What happens scientifically, or biologically, let me say that, is that our bodies produce melatonin. That's what helps us to go to sleep. That's what keeps us asleep. If you ever wake up in the morning and you're groggy and you're kind of a little disoriented and you're out of it, the reason that you are is because melatonin is in your system right now, and it's a hormone that affects your sleep sensory elements, right? So the melatonin is sensitive to light and movement and other factors. So when you feel groggy, like you're on drugs, you're like, okay, I just want to roll over and put the blanket over my head. If you succumb to that, then you will fall back asleep. But if you can force yourself in that moment to say, well, let me start moving, or let me put some light in this room, let me open these shades, all of a sudden you're going to literally eliminate the melatonin in your system. Yes. And once that melatonin is gone, now you're wide awake and you're ready to go.
It's a massive flush. It is. Yeah. It's like once, and it's also that spark. It's that decision that you've made for yourself, like, and that you followed through on, and you're just setting yourself up. Like, I did this, I can do this. And now what's next?
Exactly.
What's next? Okay, I got this. And I call it habit stacking. I stack my mornings with success. I set myself up for success. I set myself up, I learned this from my mom, for success the night before. She always makes her coffee. I think my dad actually makes it for her just because they're that sweet. Yeah. So it's ready for the next morning. I do the same thing. I had kind of noticed that I was struggling with, okay, my eyeballs are open. Now, what does my day consist of? And it's gratitude first thing, but it was like, okay, now what did I say I was going to do today? So I've gone now, and I have my bullet journal. It's next to my bed. And at night, I write what I'm grateful for, but I also write the 3 things that I'm going to start my morning with.
Oh, that's a great idea.
So not only am I waking up and I'm doing what my magic morning is, and that's, I drink my apple cider vinegar, and I do my flush, an hour meditate. But now I'm focused on, okay, when my morning is done, when my magic morning routine is done, this is what I'm doing. So I'm already in meditation. I'm visualizing those goals and how I'm visualizing how I want the day to play out. But I'm also receiving downloads of how, and then it just flows.
I love it.
It just flows, and it opens it up to just letting it go and letting it be. And I think that's something that's so hard, especially as entrepreneurs. It's easy for us to think, I don't have anybody to be accountable to.
Yeah. That's right.
I
exactly.
just got me.
That's right. So
My dog.
So we could roll over and stay in bed, right?
Yes.
So that we don't want to do. So folks, what you're hearing right now are the blueprints for entrepreneurship. The nuts and bolts of it. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to wrap up with a couple of key points that you can take as takeaways. Stay right there. We'll be back in just a moment.
When people stop talking to each other, society is on the edge. Let's bring them back. Edge Radio, because truth still matters.
And we are back. This is the Edgy Entrepreneur on Edge Radio. Edge is the operative word. So when we're on the edge, we're sort of teetering and tottering on what could be the abyss, right? But I again, going back to Les Brown, he said something I loved. He said, "Leap, and the wings will appear."
Yes, so true. And anybody that knows me that has asked me to do anything that's outside my comfort zone, they always come back and say, the one thing I love about you is your answer is always yes. And with that yes comes me pulling the ripcord behind me. You know, it's like a yes. I don't know how this is going to turn out, but here I am.
Exactly. But sometimes half the battle is just showing up. I can't tell you how many network functions I've been to where maybe the weather was bad or conditions weren't ideal. And I said, the heck with it, I'm going to go anyway. Or I'm going to go to this event, even though I didn't feel like going to this event. And I end up meeting an amazing person or two that helps to change the trajectory of whatever I'm doing.
And that's how we met.
That's exactly right.
Really?
Yeah.
It was one of those moments that you just listen to your intuition and you know you've got a lot to do, but you've made this commitment and you're building something and you want it to be, it's your baby.
That's right.
So you just happen to be here, and that's, it was our serendipitous moment.
That's right.
That this it had been born. Like, I was pulling together the Edgy Entrepreneur and doing a Sharpen Your Edge interview series that I had pulled in local leaders just to get their grit.
Yes.
I want to hear what people are really doing out there that are successful and that are making this work, that have always made this work. And something interesting that I did notice on that series was, and this goes to the grit, is that all of them started in a downturn in the economy. And they're still here.
Yeah. Walt Disney started Disney during the Great Depression. Sam Walton, same thing. These are, you're exactly right. And so a downturn in the economy forces innovation. But, you know, remember, folks, just before the break, we were talking about what are some of the takeaways. And I remember when I was fairly young, you know, I was a 23, 24-year-old running an insurance agency. I had a team of 10 agents in that room, most of whom were older than me. And I was sitting there going, the tail doesn't wag the dog, and I'm the dog. They were looking at me like, really?
Do you even know what that means?
Exactly. You grow up, you know. I didn't have all these gray hairs, you know, so I didn't look like the big bad wolf back then. You know, they're looking at me like, who's this scrawny kid talking like that? But I always was pretty confident. But something that I said to them that I read that I love, and I want you guys to think about this, is do this exercise. Close your eyes and see where you are in your life. What kind of car do you drive? What kind of house do you live in? Who's your spouse or significant other? You see, all of those things are a manifestation of your thoughts up until this point.
Yep.
And then ask yourself this next question, and this is one entrepreneurs have to ask, is how much pain can you take? How many disappointments can you deal with?
Well, and I don't even know that that's so much a question that you ask. It's just something you've got to be willing to endure.
Yeah. Yeah.
You've got to build that thick skin, and it's a muscle just like anything else.
Well, see, and what you're saying, because that's the other part of it. So how much pain can you take? How many problems can you solve before you give up, go home, and lie down? And the answer is, if you're truly meant to be a success, you never give up. No matter how much pain, no matter how many problems, you continue to persist until you succeed. I was listening to Damon John and Dr. Dre, who just had a brain aneurysm of all things. But you know, these different guys were saying, the one thing we did that was genius is we never, ever quit.
Right.
Because that's half of it right there.
Yes.
Not quitting, right?
Yes. Yeah. Show up. And that is so true. And especially this year, just show up. Get out of the fear. Stop telling yourself that story, because it's not true. It's true in your brain. It's true. Nobody else around you knows it.
That's right.
Nobody else. I had this moment, and it was like, that really is what people mean by you've got to work hard. And it's those little things like your mom always told you, stop fidgeting with that crumb on your shirt or the collar. Nobody will notice it as long as you leave it alone. Right. Well, for years I was like, just leave it alone, just leave it alone. But that was like pack on and like learn stuff and put on this persona and whatever. I think the shift in that was not even looking at it from other people's perspective, but seeing it from my perspective, knowing me enough that that crumb on my shirt doesn't matter, because that doesn't say anything about who I am. Right. That is outward. That's right. World telling me. Mm-hmm. So the stories, like you're saying, that we tell ourselves, and pulling those back in and visualizing where we want to go, seeing it and feeling it, and knowing that you're never gonna want to do it.
Yes.
That's the power in defining your why.
Yes.
Why are you getting out of bed? Why is it worth it to stand on this ledge of fear that you're fixing to jump off of and no idea where you're going? Are you worth it? Are you worthy? Yes.
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 Absolutely. And when we think about fear, we remember the acronym false evidence appearing real.
Yeah, that's one of them. I won't tell you mine on national television. I'm like, I won't tell you mine here.
I was waiting for it. It probably includes the F-bomb or something.
It does. But I've also flipped it, that it is face everything and roar.
Nice.
Face everything and roar. Like, turn around and hit it head on and be your badass self.
Yes. Yes. No, I love that. I love that. Face everything and roar.
Roar.
Yeah, because truly, when you show up that way and you are that bold, it changes everything. You know, I was talking to someone, and I was using the metaphor of, I like riding motorcycles, right? So, I'm out in the country on any given Sunday on my bike. It's a big bike, and I love this feeling of when you're kind of leaning into that curve and you're twisting it out. There's about 2 inches of rubber that separates you at 60 or 70 miles per hour from asphalt. And it forces you in a very myopic way to really, really focus, because your life depends on it, literally. But it's this beautiful, wonderful, freeing experience, because when you come out of it, you kind of exhale and you go, okay, that was a rush. But yeah.
Yes.
And entrepreneurship is kind of like that. Sometimes you've got to get really myopic, really focused on a particular area and chisel away at it until you demolish that obstacle and you move to the next. And I think that if people really want to take their lives to the next level this year, and now's the best time to reinvent yourself than ever before.
It is. The playing field has been leveled. I've said that so many times.
It has. Well, then it's going to require not just the discipline, but the focus. And that's another piece that you'll be unpacking as you interview different entrepreneurs that have gone through that might have been ADD and said, okay, now I got to be very, very specific about what I want and how I want to manifest.
Yes.
So those are all things that I think are going to be really central to really driving a person's success. And what I love about what you'll be doing with the Edgy Entrepreneur is helping people to get the blueprints for that success, to being able to dive deeper. And you'll see, folks, it's not just about, it's not about just the superficial, like you said, taking the accounting course.
Yes.
Yeah, you got to know how to balance a book
do.
or how to write a spreadsheet. That's definitely important. But you also have to have the discipline to put the numbers in that spreadsheet so you have one to begin with. So that's the key.
Yes.
So this is really and truly going to be an exciting, exciting time. It is perfect timing, and we're thrilled that the Edgy Entrepreneur is making its debut on Edge Radio TV.
Yes.
So it is awesome. So folks, I want to invite you to join us every Thursday, 10 a.m. Join Jenn. I won't always be here. Periodically, I might make a surprise appearance. But join Jenn on the Edgy Entrepreneur each week, 10 a.m. here on the Edge Radio Network. We're going to unpack the ingredients for your success in this new year. So Jenn, I'm excited. How do folks stay connected to you?
They can connect with me. Actually, let's continue the conversation on my Facebook page. It is Mind Your Business Talk is where they can find me. So jump in. Let's keep this conversation going. I'm excited. And then Facebook, JennColmenares.com and Facebook. We'll connect.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So folks, stay connected. This is the Edge Radio Network. Thank you for joining us. Share this program. We'll be back next week with the Edgy Entrepreneur. Have a fabulous